hear the most annoying sound in the world? Jim and Sam are back.
Megadeth. You know, that's Metallica. I'm amazed that I was looking at Twitter, and every time we have a woman on, I get some guests you're not going to like.
Yeah.
But what was wrong with Lisa Ann?
Did people not like Lisa Ann?
Some people did. Some people did. But like, what did she do that was so awful? She was just yapping about stuff. Like, what was so terrible about just having a conversation with her? Like, what is the what do you expect?
I don't know. I love Lisa Ann, and I think she's
she was pretty open. She was like
super open and smart, and has a pretty interesting story. And I'd have her on, you know. A lot.
Sometimes you're like, what is it? What do you want when somebody walks in? No matter what the girl does, if she's a porn girl or she does this or that, oh, she's just
female stand-ups too.
Like what? Yeah, like what do you want? Anything with a cunt you don't like? I mean, I could be saying that to myself.
That's what I was just thinking, actually.
Jeff Ross, what's up, buddy?
Hey, guys.
You're really amazing to me because you do these. You're fearless. You're doing the comedy at the border, and I saw you over the
roast at the border.
Oh, sorry, roast at the border at comedy. I saw you at Comedy Central, and you were talking to me about it.
Outside,
it's such a ballsy thing to do.
Thanks.
It's such a you never seem to be afraid of failing. Like you just take these risks, whether it's going to work or not.
Chappelle told me the beauty is in the attempt. You know, just watching me try something different or hard or scary, I think is part of the fun of watching it. And not all the jokes work. People will see when they watch the show, you know, some stuff kind of clunks and it's hard. I'm out there performing new material in 95-degree weather outside in front of the Texas-Mexican border fence. When I told you that, you were like mad at me.
How far were you?
What do you mean?
Are you at the border fence?
I'm at the southern tip of America in Brownsville, Texas. There's a little town there where the fence, people don't realize, build a wall, build a wall. There's already a fence running the entire length of the 2,000-mile border. And the mayor of Brownsville, Texas, let me set up a little stage and essentially roast migrants as they come into America.
And the wall is right behind you.
Yeah,
the fence.
That's the backdrop of the show.
Can you see through the fence too?
Yes.
Okay, to see through fence.
Yes.
And we're Mexican people lining up and watching to the
side?
side?
It's like mesh,
yeah.
right?
Well, you know, it's big bars. Like, it looks like a jail.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
What town is behind you?
Matamoros, Mexico.
Is that a good town? Or
No, it's a dangerous, drug cartel, scary place. And I actually went there for a day to talk to people that have been deported from America, and they're also in the show.
How did you get in and out? Because a lot of times, like there's a guy from Netflix, a location scout, looking at season 4 of Narcos, and he was killed in Mexico. It's a very, very. I think I don't know what he was doing. If he was doing something, I have no idea. But it's a scary place. You know, the cartels are so fucking brutal there. They don't give a shit that you have a camera. How did you get access to that? Did you have to get permission from somebody?
Yeah, we had people on our staff who were connected to the cartels in different ways, and they kind of smoothed it out so we could go in kind of low-key to a migrant shelter in Matamoros, right over the bridge from America.
How far? Could you still see America from where you were?
It was only about 5-6 miles into Mexico.
That's still pretty far in. It's far enough for problems.
It's where we dump our deported, you know? And it's tough. It's very scary. You know, imagine you're working a construction job in Pennsylvania, and then they drop you off in Matamoros, Mexico. You know, it's terrifying.
So you go in, they get permission from the cartel. Do you have to pay for that?
No comment.
Oh, you don't know. Okay. But you did need to...
Everything costs money down there.
It does.
Yeah.
But you did need to let the local police and get the okay from them and the cartel.
We did. They actually escorted us most of the way to where we were going and waited for us outside. And down there, the cops are like cover their face. Cops wear masks and carrying machine guns.
Sure.
So yeah, they were very much in tune with what we were doing, and I promised not to humiliate anybody and not to make fun of the cartel, so they let me go in. I also spoke to what they call a coyote, who's basically a human trafficker who brings people over the border, and he covered his face, and I made certain promises.
Sure.
To him.
But they take your word on that? Because I'd be so worried, like, especially as a comic, that like, okay, I won't humiliate you, but let's say you just riff a joke that's not, it's not humiliation,
right?
But they're not in the mood for any kind. They take all humor wrong, you know, you're fucked.
I had to be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm also know where the line is and try to, you know, I really started to understand the subject before I went down there. I spent months and months and months and months and months researching and writing an act. Then I spent a week down there. I didn't come in for the day the way politicians will come visit the border. You know, you see those pictures of Paul Ryan on a horse riding along the Rio Grande. And I spent a week there living basically in the migrant community and the immigrant community and everybody down there. The show we actually did, which you'll see on Comedy Central, the stage is right against the border fence, and I expected like 50 people, but everyone down there has someone affected by the immigration war right now. So we had about 800 or 900 people come out.
Oh, that's great.
It was free, no walls, no admission. People just kind of rolled up to the fence, and
that's
I did
amazing.
So
when you're doing these specials, because you also did. We talked last time you were in. I think we were talking about the jail one,
and the police, the Boston cops,
roasting the cops. You're writing acts, like around this thing. So you have to, instead of doing what some comics do, which is just do a year, do the act, you know, put out a special. You're taking subjects now and being like, this isn't off the cuff. I can just go and. You're actually having to write an act around one topic.
It really is truly a roast. That's why I call it Roast the Border, because like a roast, if I'm going to roast James Franco or Justin Bieber, I have weeks to prepare a roast on that subject. So I took a bigger subject like immigration, and spend 6 months or 8 months honing that and making that work at comedy clubs where people are dating and drinking and Valentine's Day and New Year's, and you're trying to make them laugh at stuff that's really not that funny usually. It's heartbreaking for the most part. And then making that work for a universal audience, but also specifically for a Mexican and Mexican-American and undocumented people who were just kind of picnicking in a park. So yeah, it has to work on many levels.
Yeah.
When you were in Mexico, was there how far in did you realize like, oh, this is fucking dangerous? Like how were you like 5 minutes into your ride where you saw like what was it that when as you're going in you're like, I'm in a really truly dangerous place?
Good question. You know, it's weird. Cristel Musino is a human rights advocate for an organization called WOLA, W-O-L-A, and she helped fix it. She helped me roll into Matamoros. She knows some of the people who, you know, her organization's connected to the migrant shelters. And she told me on the ride over, and this is all in the show, you can see the scene where it dawns on me how dangerous it is. As I'm looking out the window, I start seeing machine guns and cops following us and weird cars following us, and everyone kind of knows I'm in town. And I'm not rolling heavy. I'm just a van with a camera, pretty low key, basically a comic armed with nothing but jokes. And when you start seeing, everyone was staring at me as at our car, and you know, you see these very scary Mexican cops showing up everywhere we went. And we went out for lunch. I took the crew out for lunch before the show, and the good part was the lunch was free because our waiter was kidnapped before the check came. I'm just kidding.
So you took him? Where'd you take him to a local place?
Yeah. The food's great in Mexico, man. Especially the non-touristy. I mean, the only people from out of town there are mostly people that have been deported.
So when you take the crew out for lunch, you're going into a local place. Everyone is looking at you. Yeah,
but we also had local fixers with us.
But you had to have fixers. Like you wouldn't have done that without them.
No, I don't think via Comedy Central would have let me.
Did she have connections? Like, did she know people in the cartel that she could talk to and smooth things over?
No comment.
Okay, she might have known someone who knew people.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to know a person who has some kind of connections. Do you know what cartel was there? What's the? I mean, it's probably common knowledge.
I forget the name of them.
Is it Los Zetas?
No, the Los Zetas.
Can you look up what town is it?
Matamoros. M-A-T-A. Moros.
M-O-R-O-S-E cartel.
Matamoros.
Mexico cartel. But yeah, I'm just curious what cartel is.
It'll come back to me in a second. I'm a little tired, but you know, I tried to leave them out of the show because I didn't want to instigate or rile people up.
Fuck yeah, you know the cartel in your show.
Yeah. But I did do jokes about the cartels on the when I was back on the American side.
Oh, you did.
I said, yeah, I have a lot of roots down here in the drug cartels. I'm actually El Chapo's Jewish cousin, El Cheapo.
That's very funny. Did that get a laugh?
Big laugh.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so jokes that could work like that.
He would laugh at that.
I would think so.
That's very funny.
So when you're doing like when you do the special,
I taught him how to cook meth kosher for Passover.
When you do the special and it's done and everything's filmed and it's done, like, and it's time to start working on the next thing.
Yeah.
Like, you now, instead of just working on new material, you've got this cause, whether it's the cops, whether it's the prisoners, whether it's immigration.
Yeah.
Like, these things kind of seem like they touch your heart a little bit.
They do, and I take them with me into the next one.
You can't really just let them go.
It's interesting. You know, I've been struggling with that because I do kind of take on this thing for a year. These specials take a year, and then I move on to the next subject.
Right.
And I go, wow, sometimes I feel like, am I neglecting my past? But in a weird way, some of the same themes come into every one of these specials. You know, we talk about mental health so much in this country, and when I went to the jail, I learned how much inmates are there, you know, people get incarcerated because they're not necessarily bad people, but they're crazy. They go there for shelter to hide from their regular life, and these jails are de facto mental health institutions. Then I did the cop special and realized cops are the first line of defense in finding crazy people in the street. And then I go to immigration, and you realize that a lot of this is caused by fear. People are afraid. There's a woman, you know, that Wola told me about where, you know, she was in Texas, a domestic violence recipient, and she called the cops, and the cops realized she was undocumented, called ICE, and she got deported for calling the cops so she wouldn't get her ass kicked. So you can see why people go crazy in the immigration side. There's also people just afraid to go out, afraid to go grocery shopping, afraid to go to the doctor, afraid to go to work. So they send other people out for them, and they live in fear.
The Gulf Cartel.
The Gulf Cartel, right?
That was the ones, right?
Yeah.
And did you see any of those guys?
Who knows?
Oh, you don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely saw people following us and so on, and the church and the cartels are all very connected. And this place I went to is run by a church. So,
you also took a big risk there because even if they say it's okay, if they decide they want to kidnap you,
right?
Like, hey, we got this American entertainer for some money. I mean, there's really not much anybody could do about it.
No, really.
But they might not want to do something that high profile.
I don't know if they care about that. I don't know. Maybe you're right. I mean, they behead people. They don't give a shit. They're frightening guys.
Yeah, but they don't fuck with Americans that much, do they?
They'll kidnap you, yeah.
Because that becomes a big national thing.
They won't. They try.
The same reason why, like, North Korea doesn't, except for that's why they panicked with that one kid. Like, North Korea doesn't like to fuck with Americans when they're in their country.
I think that they are careful about killing federal agents just because that brings down too much government pressure, and then the government has to do something because America pressure. But American citizens will get kidnapped.
You don't think an American citizen who goes down there and bad shit happens, if they get killed or kidnapped, that the American government's going to be like, hey, Mexico, you got to control your stuff?
They do, but it's not as, I mean, it happens.
That's still not going to take back a mistake, or, you know.
Right, you could be the one.
I had more security meetings for this trip than I had for the jail special.
You did, right?
Yeah.
What were they saying?
And I couldn't bring a lot of security with me.
Well, yeah, because what's it going to do? I mean, if the cartel comes, what are you going to do?
They wouldn't let me bring a lot of security.
Who wouldn't let you?
I had to just trust the community that I was in, that I would be okay.
Probably because they don't want to feel like there's an army in there.
Well, they also don't want to feel like, you really think you're going to bring these fucking guys in here to stop us? Like,
right.
They're not letting me bring strangers with guns into these shelters.
How many guys did they let you bring with you?
I brought one security person.
And they really would. That was more like just a guy to talk to, because what could he have done to stop it?
Right. He was really, it was complicated.
He's pretty ballsy just to go with you.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'd hate to be your one security guy in the fucking Gulf Cartel's backyard.
It was pretty nerve-wracking, and they did tell me I was warned pretty carefully to be out before dark, and I was.
Oh, they said don't be there late.
Yeah, so I was back in America by dinner time.
Did they feel that the police might not be able to protect you after dark? Right. Or they might be able to, people can take shots at you.
No one can protect you in Matamoros after dark. It's on the State Department list, the U.S. State Department list of places Americans should not go. Happy comedy special.
Wait, so when you went through the border, how was it hard to go through the border, or no?
No. These towns, Brownsville, Texas, where I shot the show, which you'll see, right on the other side of the fence, which you can see in the show, is Matamoros. These are sister cities separated by the Rio Grande. That's the river that runs right through the valley there. And they're one community, essentially. So some people work on both sides. You know, Mexican people will work at the hospital on the American side. They can walk across the bridge. You have to have your passport, and they'll stamp it every single day.
Oh, they
so
do.
It's really interesting how it works. And there's also Americans who live on the Mexican side because it's cheaper and they walk over every day. So these are footbridges, essentially.
But they live in Matamoros? No.
Yeah. There's Americans who live on the, so this.
How do they survive if it's that dangerous?
They do it. They're from there,
They figure out how to.
They live with it. They grew up with it. They're part of it. Who knows?
Wait, are they Mexican or are they white? White guys that live in Mexico?
There's white Mexicans.
No, but I mean, are they of Mexican origin or no?
Yeah. Mostly. Everyone speaks Spanish. Even the cops speak Spanish. Everyone's of Mexican. Right on the border. That's really why I went and did this show, because I was confused about, the wall and the Muslim ban and all this immigration stuff that was happening. I was like, well, what are the people who actually live along the border? Like, how do they feel about all this?
Right.
And that's what made me want to go down there to this one town where an existing fence runs right through the middle of it.
Wow, that's really scary that they told you, even with those cops, to get out before dark.
Yeah. No, it was scary. It was definitely scary, and
Would you have stayed in a hotel overnight there?
No, there's no hotel there.
There's not?
I mean, maybe, but
it wouldn't have feather pillows.
There's no nice anything down there, really. It's a lovely community, and the people were very warm and sweet that I met, and the people in Brownsville are lovely, but it's not like you're going to the Ritz-Carlton down the street.
Right. And what the restaurant you ate in, just a plain little restaurant on the side? What kind of place was it?
It's a little essentially a taco stand that's tented with seats like picnic tables, and you eat outside. Everything was very, very hot. It was like 95 degrees down there when I was there.
How many hours did you spend?
I was there about 10 hours.
That's a long day.
Yeah, we had a nice day.
That's a long day.
Yeah.
And when you came back, how happy were you when you finally saw the American side? Like, all right, we're going to make it.
You know what? It was a sense of, there's always this nice sense of coming home when you come back, and they put you through all the stuff. They search your car real carefully and all that.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah, and that's us. Imagine what just some regular dude goes through, We're like obviously a production van. So shout out to my crew for being brave and doing such a great job.
Did you tell the American guys what you were there to do? Like,
no, I didn't want to cause a lot of... No.
No, when you were coming back over?
I didn't. Yeah, there's no dilly-dallying, no conversation. I was just in the back of the van, kind of lucky to be back.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing made me realize how lucky I am to be born in America, to have an American passport, because people are literally risking their lives, killing themselves to get into America.
Is that what hits you the hardest? That look, this is the city where people are getting dumped off in. Like this city that we're sitting here spending all this time talking about how dangerous it is. You can't be there after dark. Blah blah blah. Like. Everybody that gets deported ends up there.
Right, so imagine you're just a working dude.
Right.
I talked to one guy who was in America for 19 years working construction, and they just picked him up one day and they threw him back to Matamoros, Mexico. It's not where he's from in Mexico.
Yeah. So he's not one of these guys that grew up with that.
No.
He doesn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So he has nowhere to go?
Essentially, they have nowhere to go, so they go to these church-run migrant shelters, and they save them, essentially.
So do they ever get back in the country?
Some go back to Mexico or wherever they're from, other countries.
Do they ever get back into America?
And sometimes they come back to America. They sneak, but sometimes they ask to be deported right near the border, like to Matamoros, so that they can sneak back in. Their families are here.
Okay.
So what are they supposed to do? And I did talk to one guy. His name was Juan. He was a sweet, sweet guy, and I asked him, when are you going to see your family again? He was deported to Mexico, and he got all choked up, and he says, I don't know if I'll ever see them again.
That's what I hate to see. But when you say someone's here for 19 years, isn't there something they could have done to become citizens, like a path they could have tried to take? I mean, I guess they snuck in. It's kind of hard.
Right. They're afraid to talk. They don't speak English well. They're just working day to day to day to day to day for decades.
How much of it is that? Like, because the English thing, it's like, I know it's a hard level, but you could try to learn it after 19 years. Like, how much of it is like, okay, now that you're here, there's a few things you should be doing to become a true American citizen and actually do it right, where they're just neglecting to do that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like 19 years. You got to learn,
Well, you're right. I mean, if it was me, I would try to learn. I'd try to find my way into the country, but not everybody is a perfect citizen. Everybody is afraid of the government, especially now. There's so much rhetoric that people are terrified.
Yeah.
Right, because I feel like if I start taking these steps, they're going to realize that I haven't taken these steps. They're just going to deport me.
Right.
Yo,
and
no,
it's
don't forget,
scarier now, but Obama deported just as many people as the Trump administration.
That's what I'm saying. 18 years of it was not Trump.
Right.
People blame Trump, but I mean, if this guy's here 19 years, 18 years, it was like, you know, it was Obama, it was, you know, whatever.
Right.
It was George Bush.
I'm not saying I'm dealing with I dealt with the smartest people in the world. You know, they're just regular construction worker guys. So, you know, they don't have the means that we have.
Sure. Just went and got him in Pittsburgh and sent him back after 19 years. Like that is kind of scary.
And then I used all that background, all that research to write an act to refine my act to do on stage, and then I cut in between these interviews and these moments to my show.
When is it airing? We have 1 minute left before our show is over. When are you airing?
It airs November 16th at 10 o'clock on Comedy Central. Jeff Ross roasts The Border.
And Jeff, tonight is at the New York Comedy Club at 9:15.
Yeah, I'm doing stand-up on the spot with a lot of funny comedians. You got to come out. Audience heckles out suggestions, and we riff stand-up on it.
And you can catch me, Town Hall, Saturday night. I've talked about that. I got Philadelphia, the Fillmore coming up. I got Jersey coming up. I got a whole bunch of places, Indianapolis, San Francisco. Just go to Peoria, Illinois, JimNorton.com. And Sam?
I'm here.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Lisa Ann. And thank you, of course, to Brian Regan. Who we have tomorrow?
Tomorrow we have Ron White and Chris Hardwick.
All right, great. So
nice.
We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Oh, my God. It's over.
This has been Jim Norton and Sam.
Fuck yourself.